Hello and welcome to Steph K Equestrian. This video came from a talk I did where I was discussing some of the stuff I was doing with my foal Pickles, and talk got a little long, as mine tend to, so I'm gonna go ahead and put like a mini series out that goes over 3 of the things that I talk about. So as you probably know, I am a positive reinforcement-based horse trainer. I have worked with a few other types of equines, but mostly horses. My background is in animal neurology in general, so I've trained everything from a fruit fly to working with like large mammals, as well as like birds, lizards, dogs, cats, all of that stuff. I've been a horsewoman a lot longer than I've been a neuroscientist. But when I was studying neuroscience, I was like, we train all of these animals in this like very specific way that's just based around like general learning theory, and yet we train horses totally differently. Why is that? So now, talking about Pickles in particular, once she's wanting to interact and engage with me, then I can begin some actual training. The type of training I do with her is called opportunistic training. So I sort of think of training in like 2 different settings. So I have like structured training, and then I have opportunistic training. And I do really tend to lean towards opportunistic training the majority of the time. It's a little more abstract, requires a lot more expertise, but I find that it's a lot more effective and a lot more pleasant for the learner. So structured training is probably what you think of when you think of like, you like write out a training plan, you say like, we're gonna work on these 3 things, we're gonna like, you have a very structured idea before you go into the setting. You say like, I'm gonna work on picking up feet, we're gonna do this exact exercise, like that sort of thing. And structured training can be really good. It's good to like keep you on track with goals. It's especially important if you are not super familiar with training, because it gives you these like clear guidelines and these clear steps while you're like away from the learner, and you're able to like process before you get into the situation, especially if you get kind of overwhelmed in those training situations. On the other hand, opportunistic learning, that is when you just like, you go in and you see what the learner's giving you, and you just reinforce and like punish, which, reminder, I use negative punishment, so that's the withhold of a reinforcer. Not when a lot of people think of punishment, they think of like smacking them. No, nothing like that. So my form of punishment is the withholding of treats or scratches or whatever the reinforcer is. So I just go into the environment, I see what the learner is giving me, I start to work with them, and then I take whatever opportunities arise to reinforce a good behavior or punish an undesirable behavior, which again, I'm positive reinforcement based. So I try to create an environment where I'm reinforcing a lot, and try to avoid like environment or stimuli that require me to punish an undesirable behavior. So doing opportunistic training requires a lot more expertise, because I have to be prepared for anything that the horse may throw at me. And luckily I've been doing this since I could like barely walk, and so like when I was really little I was working with horses, so I know a lot about horses. I can expect pretty much anything a horse can throw at me at this point. I can usually anticipate it. I'm probably gonna regret saying that now that I've said that. Like the next time I go to work with a horse, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I've never seen this before. But for the most part, that doesn't really happen anymore. I can predict like pretty much anything, or like I can generalize to the situation. Like I'm usually pretty good regardless of what the horse brings to that session. And so I do a little more of like a free-form opportunistic training, especially with someone like Pickles. Like, she is a baby, she's a foal, she's a different filly every single day. Like, she's the same in a lot of ways, but she always has like a different attitude, different like things she wants to be doing. And so I just take advantage of whatever good behaviors I can reinforce. I reinforce them, and then I do little tiny corrections with a little bit of withholding anytime something undesirable starts to happen, and am just really careful with like creating a good environment for everything. I hope you've enjoyed these videos, and be sure you watch the other ones in the mini-series if you haven't already, and then go ahead and head on over to the adorable full video if you haven't already, and if you have, just like go watch it again. It'll be even cuter now that you have like a bunch of background knowledge and all that good stuff. So yeah, enjoy!